Imperial Knights are bringing 4 Warglaves, all equipped with heavy stubbers, a Knight Castellan, a Knight Atrapos, and finally Canis Rex. Salamanders are bringing a Land Raider Redeemer, packed with 6 aggressors led by a captain in Gravis armor, 10 Infernus Marines arriving in a drop pod, an Impulsor filled with a squad of Hellblasters led by a Librarian, a 5-man squad of Infiltrators, a Lancer, a Ballistus Dreadnought, and a Redemptor Dreadnought. Today's deployment is Crucible of Battle, mission is Terraform, and mission rule is Stalwarts. Imperial Knights are going first, drawing Secure No Man's Land and Extend Battle Lines as secondaries. Starting movement, the Warglaive is going to move on to the lower objective and begin terraforming. Canis Rex moves on to the objective as well, gaining redundancy on the point. The Black Warglaive is going to move on to the northern point and also begin terraforming. The Atrapos manages to make it onto the center objective and it begins terraforming. Castellan makes a slight adjustment so it maintains cover but is able to get eyes on the Impulsor. The Grey Warglaive will reposition itself to continue to screen out the backfield from the drop pod. Castellan fires its Volcano Lance into the Impulsor and unfortunately one-shots it. One Hellblaster goes down to the explosion and manages to shoot on its way out, failing to score a wound. Canis Rex fires into the Ballistus Dreadnought and thanks to sustained hits, it manages to take it down. Imperial Knights are going to score 5 points for securing No Man's Land, 3 points for subscribing to the channel, and an additional 5 points for extending battle lines. Bottom of turn 1, Salamanders have chosen fixed secondaries, taken Bring It Down and Establish Locus. The Lancer moves forward, being able to get eyes on both the Warglaive and the Atrapos on the objectives. Hellblasters are going to move just outside the building so they have line of sight on the Warglaive on the objective. The drop pod descends behind enemy lines, exploding with the Infernus squad. Salamanders are going to spend 2 CP on Immolation Protocol on the Infernus squad that's going to dump all their flamers into the Warglaive. And the massive onslaught of fiery goodness leaves the Warglaive at 1 wound remaining. Hellblasters are going to overcharge into the Warglaive on the objective. In response, the Imperial Knights are going to spend 1 CP to rotate Ion Shields. After everything is all said and done, all the Hellblasters survive their hazardous attacks and the Warglaive is down to 10 wounds remaining. Psychic attack from the Librarian knocks off another 3 wounds. Lancer fires everything it has at the same Warglaive, bringing it down to only 2 wounds remaining. The Infernus Marines fail their charge into the barely alive Warglaive and that ends it for the Salamanders. Salamanders failed to score Bring It Down this turn, but it's looking promising next turn. They do get 4 points for Established Locus thanks to the drop pod. Start of round 2, Imperial Knights draw Overwhelming Force and no prisoners. The Grey Warglaive fails its Battle Shock test, and the Imperial Knights spend a CP for Insane Bravery to guarantee the Black Warglaive passes its Battle Shock test. Imperial Knights are going to score the full 15 points on primary this turn, owning 4 objectives, and also managing to complete the Terraform action on the 3 center objectives. Movement, the Atrapos moves north to take out the Lancer. The Castellan will turn around and pivot to get line of sight on the Infernus squad and drop pod. Canis Rex will move on to the center objective, covering it for the Atrapos. Grey Warglaive fires its Meltas into the drop pod and takes it down. The Castellan fires everything into the Infernus squad, eradicating them and taking 3 damage for its troubles. The Atrapos fires all its weapon systems into the Lancer, managing to take it down. Combat, the Atrapos makes its charge into the Hellblasters. Imperial Knights spend a command point to give the Atrapos precision to take out the Librarian, but some unfortunate save rolls means that the Atrapos manages to pick up the entire Hellblaster squad. That will end the turn for the Knights, scoring the full 5 points on no prisoners, but unfortunately not scoring anything on Overwhelming Force. They'll discard that for a CP. Salamanders oath the Atrapos, hoping to take it down this turn, and they'll score 4 points for owning their home objective. Movement phase, the Land Raider is going to pop out to get eyes on the Atrapos, as well as disembarking the squad of aggressors. Ballistus Dreadnought comes out of reserves onto the southern table edge, and the squad of Eradicators come out on the northern edge. Into the shooting phase, the Redemptor fires into the Warglaive, clicking off 3 wounds. The aggressors are activated next, and the Salamanders will spend 1 CP for immolation protocols thanks to the captain in the squad to deal a massive amount of dev wounds to the Atrapos, bring it down to only 11 wounds remaining. Redeemer fires everything into the Atrapos, leaving it at 4 wounds remaining. Eradicators are up next, with 1 Melta and the Biologist taking down the Grey Warglaive. 1 Melta into the Black Warglaive, using its once per battle ability, the auto 6 there, to hit, but unfortunately it makes its 5-up invul save, taking no damage and surviving this turn. The rest of the Meltas are going into the Atrapos, so Imperial Knights will rotate Ion Shields, which manages to keep it alive. The aggressors make their charge into the Atrapos. The Eradicators have to spend a CP reroll to make it, but they do make their charge onto the objective, stealing it away from the Warglaive. The Redemptor fails its charge into the Warglaive. The aggressors pulverize the Atrapos, taking it down and scoring Bring It Down. The Eradicators bash into the Lonely Warglaive, and thanks to a CP reroll and some amazing Feel No Pains, the Warglaive survives the onslaught at 1 wound remaining. Crackback takes down 1 Eradicator and leaves another at 1 wound remaining. Salamanders end the turn, scoring 8 points on Bring It Down and 0 for establishing Locus. Top of round 3, Imperial Knights draw Sabotage and establish Locus as secondaries. They will score the full 15 points on primary, thanks to owning 3 objectives as well as having terraformed 3 objectives. The Bone Warglaive is going to move closer to the Redemptor Dreadnought to turn on Melta. The Castellan moves to the center of the board to have line of sight on as many targets as possible. Canis is going to move first, so the Eradicators are unable to overwatch and get eyes on the aggressors. Shooting phase for the Knights, the Warglaive fires into the Redemptor and the Melta does the trick, picking it up. Castellan's Siegebreaker missiles and Volcano Lance go into the Land Raider Redeemer, taking it down. It does unfortunately explode, taking an infiltrator with it. The rest of its weapons go into the aggressors, managing to kill 1, but takes another 3 wounds for its troubles. Canis fires into the aggressors, managing to kill 1 of them and wound another. Black Warglaive fires into combat and manages to pick up 3 Eradicators. Canis Rex makes his charge into the aggressors, so they're going to use the captain's free stratagem ability to fire Overwatch on him. They manage to hit Canis pretty hard, taking him down to only 12 wounds remaining. Imperial Knights are going to spend 1 CP to give Canis Rex precision, but unfortunately it was not needed as Freedom's Hand manages to pick up the entire squad. Ouch. Ongoing combat, the Eradicators are going to get Crucible Battle for 1 CP, giving them +1 to wound, and that is going to be just enough to take down the Warglaive finally. Of course, it does manage to Deadly Demise, which is going to take 1 Eradicator out with it, but also does 3 mortal wounds to the Castellan. This thing cannot catch a break. That is going to end the turn for the Knights, holding on to Sabotage until next turn, discarding Established Locus for a CP, and the Salamanders will score 2 points on Bring It Down. They start the turn by passing their Battle Shock test on the Eradicators, scoring the full 8 points on primary, and then decide to Oath of Moment Canis Rex. Infiltrators are going to come through the wall to get line of sight on Canis Rex. Eradicators do the same, making sure that they all have line of sight on Canis. Canis will use his free stratagem to rotate Ion Shields. The Eradicators manage to bring the heat and take Canis down to 5 wounds remaining. Infiltrators will spend their final CP to grenade Canis, and that will do it, taking him down, but unfortunately causing him to Deadly Demise, taking an Eradicator and an Infiltrator out with him. Sir Hector manages to jump out in time and find a hiding spot behind the wall so the Infiltrators do not have line of sight on him. Both units fail their charges into Sir Hector, so that's going to end the turn for the Salamanders. Imperial Knights draw Defend Stronghold and Storm Hostile Objective as secondaries. They're going to score 4 points for holding 1 objective, an additional 6 points for terraforming 3 objectives, and scoring 6 points for Sabotage. Salamanders have chosen War of Attrition as their secret mission. Bone Warglaive gets back on the southern objective. Sir Hector will advance, getting him on the center objective. The Castellan will remain where it's at to avoid triggering an overwatch from the Eradicators. Going right into shooting, the Castellan will unload on the Eradicators, wiping them off the board, and the Salamanders will call it here, making the final score 61-26 in favor of the Imperial Knights. Thank you so much for watching. We really do appreciate it. If you have made it this far in the video, please do consider dropping a sub. But until next time, as always, happy gaming.